Let's look at the metal wall panel takeoff in the estimating edge. We begin first at the page list. We will look at the metal panel takeoff for the Moncrief towers. Let's move to the next step where we find the metal panel conditions. Listed are three methods for estimating metal wall panels. The first method of takeoff is the panel infill method, followed by the panel count method, and then the total panel area method. You can see the first method has multiple panel infill conditions with preset A through I panel designations. Following the panel methods are various wall panel trim applications. Let's look at the panel infill properties. All three methods share the same condition property components and are adjusted in the same manner. The panel length and height are the major players when adjusting this condition. Each different panel shape will have a different panel length or height value adjusted here from the drawing screen, which we'll show you later. These values in turn work by formula to calculate square foot of insulation and square foot of ACM panel. A separate formula tracks the total number of panels as well. Here under the fasteners, we can adjust the number of fasteners needed per panel size. In the miscellaneous tab, we find a myriad of panel accessories like subgirts, Z-girts, backer rods, caulking, ACM joint strips, silicone sealant, gusset plates, gaskets, etc. The list is long and covers most panel components needed. Use what you find applicable to your system. There are other common items like extrusions configured in the common item list default. The linear foot items, Z-girt, backer rod, caulking, are a formula from the length and height adjustments for its calculation. So to re-emphasize, the biggest adjustments made are to the panel length and height from the General tab. Let's go see how we measure each of the wall panel methods from below. First, let's tackle the panel infill method. It is the most dramatic of the methods because of the eventual display and drawing report. Here's the first panel we need to get the size of. So let's zoom in on this particular area. I like to use the rectangle tool and the heads up display, which has a tape measure to accompany it. As I get close to filling this panel, I notice that we're at a 6'1" by 2'11", which is supposed to be 3 feet. So I'm going with a 6 foot by 3 foot panel. Need to change that to 72 inches. The rest of it configures against those values and we move on. I now want to place a panel designation on that panel and want to now select both of those and replicate them for speed. As we move on to look at the next panel, obviously the A panel will not work in this arena. So it's time to make a B panel. So I click on the B, I click on rectangle, I snap to points, I walk on across and fill that void. I know that was 12 by 3. I go up to my editor, that's 144 inches by 36. All the components reconfigure. And I now want to set the panel designation. Want to go into replicate through selecting that new panel, hitting the replicate button. And we have filled that panel section. So let's move to the right. And matter of fact, I'm going to zoom out, because now that I have my panel sizes, I can go about this a lot faster. Let's keep zooming out. And that panel is too big for that area, as well as the next area. So we'll need different size panels for that, but it will fill this area. Now I'm going to go ahead and do something nice, which is I am going to select all 3 of these panels for replicating purposes, because I'm going to be able to jump right across my screen. And you can see how fast and furious this can go. So let's zoom in a little bit and create panel C. I click on panel C, I click on rectangle, panel C looks like 4 foot 10 by 3 foot. So I'm going to go give this 4 foot 10, which is 58 inches by 3 foot. I want to give it the new panel designation of C. I want to go reselect both of those for replicating purposes. And I want to reselect those for replicating purposes. And you can see that I'm not exactly perfect, but it's close enough to fill these nicely to create a nice presentation. And there we have our panels. Let's go handle those 2 other panels. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in on this particular area for our D panel. So I click on the D panel, I click on rectangle, that's 10 foot by 3 foot. 10 foot by 3 foot, all the components reconfigure. I give it my panel designation of D. I reselect, I replicate, and very easy to get the D's. So let's move down a little bit. And we need, well, we can use another A panel here. So let's go get the A panel. Let's go ahead and select that and replicate that. Now we have the A panel. Let's come in and create a panel for this area. Need to go to rectangle. Watch my tape measure. 2 foot 6 by 3 foot. It's 30 inches. All the components reconfigure. Get my panel designation of E. Recapture that for replicating purposes. And we come against a smaller panel. So let's shift gears for a second and let's go do the panel count method. Just slightly different application. I click on the panel count method. This is not an infill, but this is a count style of a square. I still need to find out how big a length that is. I know it's 3 foot tall. So I use my measure line and I come in and I figure I need 2 foot, probably by 3 foot. So I backspace, I click on my count, I can pop that in. I know I need 2 foot by 3 foot, so that's 24 inches. If I need to add another inch or two, I can, whatever I want. It all goes by those values. I want to give it a new designation. I want to give it the F designation. There is F, and there is F. I now want to recapture this. And now just pop it down the middle. So let's talk about a third type of panel area method. The total panel area method. I still need to know what the size of the panel is. So I go back to my measured line tool. I know we got a 3 foot tall panel and it looks like this is about 1 foot wide. So I backspace, I go into area. Now I'm going to zoom way out to capture. I'm going to capture this entire area. And I don't have to be quite as exact. I can come back and get that area I'm missing. I can come back and deduct areas out that I want. Let's do a couple deducts along the way. I hit replicate, and now I'm deducting out all these windows. Let's hit deduct again, and we can deduct out this area. We can deduct out this area. We can come back and add in this area. Now what we didn't tell this is we didn't tell it was a 1x3 panel. We're going to go do this now at this time. Instead of 48 by 36 is a 12 by 36. It now reconfigures everything against a 12 by 36 inch panel. Let's go in and set a new label. And let's call that terracotta panels. Let's go ahead and make that a little bit larger. And there we have it. Let's go now see the results of this. One, we see in the condition list the number of each of these panels. 4 of the simple count, 1,634 1x3s, quite a lot of those. What does that look like in the pricing screen? We've got so many square foot of panel A, B, C, D, and E. So many square feet of the count condition. We have so many square feet of the terracotta panels with all of the pieces and parts, including extrusions, all self-calculating by panel size. On the labor side, we have labor to install our ACM panels of 60. We have 69 of those panels. We have 4 panels of the count condition. We have 1,633 eaches of the range screen panels, the terracotta. If you want to take the ACM panel a little bit deeper, here you can see where we had 4 of this size panel, 30 of that size panel, 24 of this size panel, 6 of the 120 by 36 inch panel. So a nice view there. If we take this to the recap screen, we now see we have 1,702 total panels. We're running at $80.60 per panel with these markups. So that now concludes the wall panel takeoff with the estimating edge. Thank you very much.